Hey everybody, I'm Dan, and today we're working on the Crosstrek. So we're going to get these Rallitek trailing arms installed back here, and the goal is to really just push this wheel backwards so it's centered in the wheel well. You can see it's pretty pushed forward after I did the 1-inch spacer lift, and let's get to it. Things first, is some tools you will absolutely need. So you're going to need a breaker bar, you'll need a 12mm normal wrench, you're going to need a set of ratchets, you're going to need some adjustable wrenches, you're going to need a screwdriver, a mallet, and if you want, you can use some power tools. And don't forget your wheel lock. You need some jack stands to support the vehicle on both ends, and you're also going to need some way to jack the vehicle up. You're going to want a lot of room to be able to work under there. Alright, so after jacking the vehicle up, I made sure that the front wheels are chocked. You want to do that so the vehicle doesn't roll forward on you. Put it up on jack stands, and then I leave the floor jack off the rear diff just as an extra support as well. But you're going to go ahead and zip off the lug nuts, get the tires out of the way, and I like to shove them under the vehicle just as an extra barrier so that if a vehicle were to fall. Alright, next up you want to get a 17mm, and the bolts on the trailing arm here, as you can see, we got two different sets. So one right up here mounted to the frame, and the other one down here attached to the knuckle. Both sides are 17mm. If you have the power tools, great. It's a little tricky to get in there. If not, I just use the breaker bar and an adjustable wrench, and I was able to break these off pretty easily. My car is fairly newer. It only has 30,000 miles on it, so these things are not too rusty, and I keep up on maintenance and cleaning under there. So next, what you're going to want to do is use a 12mm, and you need to take this brake line bracket off. So there's just this one bolt underneath the trailing arm. You need to take that off and just move the brake line out of the way so that when you take the trailing arm off, it doesn't get snagged. Alright, so next what you're going to want to do once you get the nuts off is you need to push these bolts through. There's the two. They both go different directions, as you can see. Once you get the nut off, you'll be able to tap them with a mallet. And that's where the screwdriver comes in handy, as you'll see in a minute. Alright, and with the other bolt out from the top, everything out of the way, we could pull the trailing arm right out. You're going to notice the knuckle will push forward a little bit just because now there's nothing holding it from moving inward. So when we go to put the new trailing arm in, you'll see it'll be a little bit of a struggle, but I'm going to give you a tip that helped me get it in place. So take a look. This is our old trailing arm. You can see it's very thin aluminum. Still very solid for what it is. But our new one's going on from Rallitek. You'll see how much thicker these guys are. They're made of steel, and the bushings seem to be of better quality as well. Alright, so here's the side-by-side comparison. Now, when you're going to actually put these back on the vehicle, you need to make sure that the alignment is still going to be the same so that the vehicle doesn't drive a little funny and also wear out your tires. So this is the way that Rallitek recommends it. You want to line it up to the size of your OEM trailing arm. Get as close as you can. You're going to put the OEM bolts back through, and then you're just going to line them up so that they're the same exact size, because Rallitek's adjust so you can make them longer, shorter, whatever you need for your build. So you can see here, I'm just lining them up. I'm going to make them the same exact size that they were to ensure that the alignment is the same as it was with the OEM parts on the vehicle. Alright, once you've got them lined up, I actually went and I have this anti-seize. Rallitek sent some. So I'm just going to go ahead and put it on the threads so that when I go and put this up on the car, hopefully it will prevent some rust and make sure that there's no movement from these lock nuts. So you're going to see in this clip, I'm going to put the new one back in. And you're going to want to make sure to put the top in first. So the one with that bushing you see me trying to push in there, that needs to go in first. Try to get the bolt through. You can see it takes a little bit of force just to get it in there. And be careful of the brake line while you're doing this. So a little bit of force, just kind of wiggle it around, you'll get that in there. And once you get it in place and in the position that you want to use the bolt that came out and push it right through. And basically that'll just be able to hang there. You won't have to hold it up as much. Now getting the bottom in is the tricky part. So with that hanging up right there, you can see getting it into this bushing is a little more difficult. The knuckle is going to move, so it's not going to make it as easy, and it's not going to line up correctly. As you can see here, there's a little bit of light coming through, but not fully. You can see that's going to be an issue. What I did to solve this is actually use that screwdriver that we had, and I kind of just jimmied the bushing from the inside. You want to just move whichever way that the knuckle is going the opposite and try to get that to line up, and then you should be able to shove the bolt right through. But you might have to use the screwdriver at the same time while you're pushing the bolt through and just go little by little. This is what I went ahead and did for the bottom bolt that was giving me trouble. I stuck the screwdriver right in here, okay, and then I took the bolt, as you can see right there. So I just took the screwdriver because you have to push the knuckle out. So if you put the screwdriver in here and you push out, just be careful not to stab the bushing. You want to push on the metal. Do this. Push away. You can adjust. We can re-pop our... I'll show you how to attach the emergency brake line again, and we'll be good to go. You get it through, shove the screwdriver through here, and you want to just kind of wiggle around, pop the bolt through from the back. There you go. And just got to be mindful of the threads when you're playing around like that. But now our arm is in. Don't forget about this emergency brake line here. So it's that 12 millimeter. Line it up. And it screws right back in. The bolt was hanging upside down, so. So I'm going to put the bolts back on, but we are not going to torque anything down until it's on the ground. We want everything to settle, and then we will make sure things are tight. For now, I know that they're lined up. I didn't adjust anything from factory. We'll do that after. All right, they're both in. They look good. So we got to put the wheels back on and lower the car, and then we got to adjust these guys. But before we adjust as well, and it starts to get difficult. So this top nut, you want to tighten this to the adjuster. This one, you want to tighten to the blue, okay? So when you're doing this, you have to keep that in mind. That way everything's safe. You want these tight, very tight. You don't want them moving. Probably going to use a paint pen and just mark so that I know if they are moving. And I'll put it towards the back of the car so that I can see that when the wheel is on. But just something to keep in mind. So go ahead and reattach the wheels. You know, get them tight, but don't torque them down until the car is fully on the ground. Now what you want to do is make sure that these 17 millimeter bolts are torqued to 67 foot-pounds. That's for both the top and the bottom. Now, when you're adjusting for the trailing arms, I kept mine stock to make sure that everything is aligned correctly. So it should have been done prior when you lined it up with the OEM components. If you want to make adjustments, I suggest probably going to an alignment shop, using a tape measure to just make sure everything is correct. Otherwise, you're going to have some weird dancing in the back while you're on the road. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and maybe I gave you some tips on how to install these or some confidence. you have any questions, let me know. Or I would definitely reach out to Rallitek, as they're going to be the experts on the subject matter. Thanks, guys.